Hey everyone! Probably by the time you're watching this, you're celebrating Labor Day with your friends. So happy Labor Day. Good to see everyone. I know it's been a little while. I wanted to give a huge thank you to everybody for the reception I've gotten on my How to Style Curly Hair video. I'll link that up here so you can watch that if you're curious. It really means a lot, and I really hope it's been helpful to some of you guys in managing your otherwise frizzy hair. So today I had a little bit of time to film, and I thought I would do a video on kind of the basics of hair ties, just the kinds that are out there, because I know there's a lot. It can be kind of overwhelming. And also I want to show you guys two different hairstyles you can do. So kind of a basic bun style that you've probably seen before. And then I also want to do kind of a braided top knot thing. So you'll see that when I get to it. It's a little bit more complicated, but I definitely have faith that you can do it if you follow along. And so let's get into it. So for today, we wanted to go through a couple of different types of hair ties that are available on the market. So most people, if you just go to like CVS, Walgreens, your basic drugstore, you're going to be able to find ones that look a bit like this. So this kind comes in like a small size like this, as well as a size like this. But basically the thing to note here is the diameter kind of the elastic. There's another kind that I don't have, and I really wouldn't recommend buying. They have a metal piece right here to hold it together, and although they're a bit more durable, some may say, than the other ones, they tend to pull your hair out, and if you're trying to grow out your hair, you really don't need your hair being pulled out every time you wear a hair tie, because it's going to be a lot of times. So these are great, they work. Of the two, I would definitely recommend the one with the thicker band. The reason for that is I find it snags less on your hair and you won't be pulling it out quite as much. So the other types of hair ties, if you kind of, I guess, upgrade from these, they make these ones that are made out of a elastic hose or something. These are great. They're a little bit, this one's pretty worn out. I've had it for a while and worn it a lot of times. I like these better than the other ones, but they tend to stretch out over time, and you know, if you can't find anything else, this is probably the best one. But the best one of all, which I have found recently, is this one. So it's really large. You can see there's a lot of material here. It never gets stuck in your hair. It holds really well. So another thing is, like, if you're wearing this style for a long time, sometimes you'll notice like pressure here, and it just hurts after you've been wearing it all day. So that's kind of the one that I would be my go-to. This is called a burly band. The name's kind of interesting. But I will link them down in the description box below, and this is probably what I'll be using to show you guys these styles. So let's jump right into it. Let me show you my hair as it is now. Obviously you can see it's grown a little bit, probably since my last video. I've been growing it for about almost 12 to 13 months now, and it's definitely a length where you can pull it all back, and you know, kind of, I guess you could say, out of the awkward stage, because on days when you don't want to do anything, you can always just pull it back. I would say if you're growing your hair out, probably once you get to about 12 months, you can really start pulling it all back without having to worry about the sides falling out. But if you're not there yet, you'll be there soon. Enjoy the process, because, you know, before you know it, your hair will just be long, and then you'll be wanting to cut it probably. So everybody's probably pretty familiar with how to do a top knot style. It's pretty easy, but I'm going to show you a couple tips to make it really clean. So kind of just start by, you know, finger detangling, brushing out any snags or tangles. I typically do this on the third day, that since I have washed my hair, because the curls start to fall out and it looks a little bit like it does today. And obviously, because today is the third day. And you know, just if you want to keep it looking clean, this is a great way to do it. So you can see I'm just pulling it all out, making sure there's no bumps or anything. I'm going to take this brush. This brush is actually called a spore net. I'll link it down below. It's really great for smoothing and sectioning, and also kind of fluffing out, which we'll do a little bit of in the next style. But so basically it's really good for smoothing, and I'm basically taking the side of the brush and kind of making sure that it's really no bumps as far as I can manage, getting the flyaways out of the way and going all the way around. The back here is kind of a major culprit for flyaways just because I think the hair there grows a lot slower. And we're going to pull it all kind of up. And a good rule of thumb, if you can do it, is like you have your jaw, you want this to kind of be placed here. So you get kind of a, I guess, asymmetry, is that the right word? So pull it all back, and you just take the band, gather it all up. I'm going to do that one more time. Really tight. Pull it here. I loop it once, but this part I really like to kind of let it out and just barely pull it over the top here and leave the ends out. And you can see how it kind of, to me it looks a bit fuller when you do it like this. I think it's a pretty good look. So my second tip for doing this is, you may not be able to see it on camera right now, but I have a lot of little like baby hairs sticking out, and it kind of creates this frizzy look. So there's two ways you can take care of this, but the easiest way is just to take some water, and because I'm filming I have a bowl of water here, but usually you can just use a sink, which pretty much everybody has access to, I think. So you're just gonna wet your hands like under the faucet and just go straight back like this. Smooth down the flyaways. Because you have product in your hair from previous days, it'll kind of rehydrate and help you do this. Get a little bit more. Go up the back. And this is really great because you can, you'll always have access to water. The second way you can smooth these down is hairspray, which I do have here, but you're not always gonna have a bottle of hairspray with you when you're just living your life. So I've got one here that's kind of being stubborn. But yeah, you can kind of see it's pretty clean. It's very quick, super easy, and when your hair would otherwise look pretty bad, you can just pull it up like this. All right, so for the next hairstyle, you're gonna need to know how to braid. Now I know for a lot of people this sounds like a insurmountable task, but believe me, you can do it. A lot of it is really just your hand placement and being able to do it. If there's interest, I can do a video on how to do a braid, but there's a really good video on how to do braiding, which I learned from S'il vous plaît hairstyling, which if I can link it, I will do so here. She really zooms in. If you just follow the way she's grabbing her pieces of her hair as she goes, that's really the biggest key, and trust me, it's not that hard to do. It's a really valuable skill to have, and you can figure it out. So to begin with this, let's take out the hair from the last style. And this one, again, with the way that I always love to style my hair, I'm gonna try to get a lot of volume here and then have everything else really close. So to me, this is almost like, I don't know, not really Viking style, but like could be maybe. So you're gonna wanna pick two places to section from. Again, I like to kind of go from the high point of my eyebrow up. And so I kind of like push it out like that just because it's for some reason a bit easier. You don't have to section your hair like this, but I really think it makes the final look a bit cleaner. And you're gonna wanna take a clip and clip it down just so you don't actually pull out some of that hair. Keep it clean. When you're doing the other side, you want to kind of look straight in the mirror, and then pick kind of where the other bit should happen so that it is symmetrical. And you may have to sort of finagle this a little bit to get it really right. Let's not drop that. Are you guys going to some cookouts for Labor Day? I hope someone is, because I definitely think I'll be here working, unfortunately. All right, so we got that sectioned out. Pull that down, clip it back. And now we're gonna look pretty crazy for a minute. So here's where you should be at. I know you're gonna look a little bit crazy, but that's just kind of how this goes sometimes. And a recent trick I found, so when I would do braiding, a lot of times I would end up with a bunch of like frizzy pieces in the front, and it would sort of ruin the whole look. So I've recently been experimenting with using a bit of hairspray beforehand. The brand I like, it's called Sebastian Shaper. I'm sure there's other good styles, but this one's good because you can brush it out. It's not a super strong hold. So you're gonna wanna take the front part, just spray a bit on there, and I just kind of like run it through like once or a couple times to get it started. So as I mentioned, you're gonna need to know how to braid, which you can find from that other video that I linked. But once you know how to braid, you will split this into 3 sections. And another key to keeping the frizz at bay is braiding really close. So try not to move back and forth a bunch while you're doing this. So you're gonna just start braiding, keeping everything really tight. And I may skip into time lapse so that we can keep the length of this video somewhat reasonable. But you're gonna do like a couple of stitches, I think is what we call them, just to get it started. Maybe like, I don't know, like 4. And once you get like a couple in, take the sport net brush and kind of go in and fluff it out just a bit. Just so that when you get to the end stage, you're not gonna have to deal with that being too tight. And then you go back. Go. Try to keep it clean as you go. And believe me, braiding is not that hard. You just have to have patience, and it's really worth learning. And then as you get to the end, you're just going to want to follow that up, going all the way down. And then you're going to go back, like kind of when you're at this point, take this brush and you're just going to kind of pull a little bit. Don't do it with your fingers because it causes like a frizzy mess kind of. I'm going down the braid like this, just kind of fluffing it. And you can see I'm just trying to create this shape kind of right here in the front. And you want to do it here before you put it into the bun, because it will, once it's there, it's pretty tight. So I'm taking these out. Then you pull it all back. And you can see it's a little bit frizzy, but I'll have a way to fix that very soon. Pulling this all back, and if you really want it super clean, then you're gonna take this brush and just smooth over the top. Look like right here, you wanna get that in. Go to the other side. and then go back up. And take your hand, just kind of smooth it all in. We're gonna do the exact same thing we did for the other bun. Again, kind of looking at this line, pulling it up. And right here, just leave the ends out like you did before. They kind of like curl up like this. All right, so now that we're here, and I'm looking in this mirror over here because I have it, which I definitely recommend. So use the brush, not your fingers, because it's gonna make frizz come out. And just kind of, don't be afraid to pull it out too much, because honestly, I think it looks better if it has more volume. You know what I mean? Just as much volume as you can get. There you go. So, kind of like that. And then the last step here, sorry, I'm just checking that. It's kind of hard to see sometimes when you're far away, so. But I'm right now just kind of pulling this all out. This one looks a little bit off to me, so. All you gotta do is just a little bit back and forth until you get it to a good place. All right, so that looks pretty good to me. So then, to smooth it out, you're just gonna take the hairspray again. I'm just gonna do a quick once over, take the smoothing brush, and brush it back. And you can see like almost instantly that gets very, very smooth. I have some hairs right here that I need to trim, so those are just gonna be like that, but that's okay. On the side, pull it back. All right, so sides are good, and then back you're gonna wanna do the same thing. And make sure you really get it, because this back getting all frizzy really can compromise the look. And I would take a once over with your hand, just kind of pull it up. All right, now the last part is just making sure this middle part looks really clean. So kind of just spray it over once and just pat in the flyaways. And there'll always be a little bit sometimes, but it kind of depends on like how many days you've had your hair since you've washed it and how much you've handled it. And today I've handled it a lot. Yeah, so just kind of patting all that in. And then look at it from this side, which remember you can do with your mirror. Make sure it's all good. And there you go. All right, so here's the final look. You can see you get a nice braid through the middle. From the side, it looks pretty nice. Both sides. And you know, it's like up, but it gives you like a bit of volume here. It's a little bit more interesting than a top knot. Doesn't take me that long. I think once you figure out how to do the braiding, you'll be able to do it. But it's a really useful skill to have, and I'm thinking about doing a lot of styles on this channel, so braiding and Dutch braiding is really important to learn. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please let me know if you have any questions, any videos you'd really like to see in the future. Let me know if you'd like to see a braiding video. I'd be happy to do it. And enjoy your Labor Day. So have a good time. Everybody stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.